for the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara, here with my fill-in co-host,
Reverend Clyde Bowen.
So happy to have you here, Rev.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
We are excited here on Central City Radio, Talk Central Phoenix. Okay, as promised, we have a great guest. Welcome to Central City Radio and the Chips and Salsa Show, Kelly Cooper.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.
Hi, Kelly.
How you doing?
Thank you for coming in.
Great.
You are running for Congressional District Number 4
Yes.
in Arizona. And may I read a little bit about you that I just
Absolutely.
saw in our Republican briefs? So evidently you've recently announced you have raised $378,179 in the fourth quarter of 2021. That's 2021, right? With $350,000 cash on hand. Your campaign is People Over Politics, and you've surpassed other Republican challengers, and you look forward to taking back the House this year. Boy, don't we, right?
Amen.
Woo.
Yes, of course.
Recently released numbers
Red.
prove that our campaign, this is you talking, is the top contender in this race, and our movement is catching wind, said Cooper. Though we started late, my business acumen has allowed me to make strategic financial decisions. I'm confident we will continue to build momentum through the next quarter, and I will be the next congressman for AZ04. Now, I should, for full disclosure, we interview Republican candidates here, and there's more than one person running in CD4 because we want you to hear from all Republican candidates. So that's my disclosure. You are a Marine veteran. Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you for your service.
You as well. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And you're also an experienced businessman. Some of you may know his restaurants, The Melting Pot, one of my favorites. I do have to say, I love that restaurant. And you Cooper promises to take on the important issues plaguing our nation, including inflation, economy, border control. Your website is Kelly Cooper Arizona, spelled out, kellycooperarizona.com. Husband, father, small businessman, community leader. How about a community leader? Community leader. Or I'm filling in for George here, kind of mispronouncing. Sorry, George. Yeah, I had to throw that at you. All right. And you are the founder and chairman for the Maricopa County Republican Veterans Committee, and you'll bring your keen business acumen and strong Christian conservative values to Washington. Well, that's not all of it, but I thought that was a pretty good little rundown I wanted to read.
That's a good start.
But go ahead, if I've missed anything that you'd like to say, take a couple of minutes and tell the audience about yourself.
Oh, boy.
I know, I gave a good background here.
I know, that was pretty complete. So the restaurant that you're missing is BKD's Backyard Joint. It's located in Chandler at Pecos and McQueen. We opened that at the beginning of 2019. We also have the Melting Pot in Glendale, so 59th and Utopia, and then the Melting Pot in Ahwatukee at 3626 East Ray Road. It's 2 miles west of the I-10. Maricopa County Republican Veterans Club is a club designed to identify military veterans that slip through the cracks, people that can't seem to find the right support, and put them in contact with the support group that can help them. Awesome. With this candidacy, that club sort of doesn't get as much attention as it should, but there are plenty of groups out there that are looking to support veterans. So any chance I get that I can push somebody in the right direction, I work on that. My kids are charter school kids, so we'll talk about education, school choice. We can talk about the economy, the inflation. We can talk about border security and international affairs. These are all things that are part of my real life, part of where I've come from and the things that I've done. CD4, Congressional District 4 used to be District 9, so if you go look up Congressional District 4, thank you, Secretary of State Hobbs. It'll tell you that I'm running against Paul Gosar, which is absolutely not true. I am running against Greg Stanton. He's kind of the picture of the ivory tower politician, somebody that doesn't live in the district, really isn't connected, doesn't have to make the same kind of decisions that we make. At the beginning of COVID, we understood some of the things that went on, and we understood the protections that needed to be made, or at least put in place so that we could understand what was happening. But I tell this story almost every chance I get. The final decision for me for running for office was the day that I was sitting in the restaurant after laying off all of my staff in all 3 restaurants.
Wow.
Chef and I are doing to-go orders because BKD's was the only place that could really do to-go orders. and we're handing out free toilet paper to people coming in to get to-go orders, right? And so now that night I have to go home and look at my kids and explain to them what happened at work, why it happened, and why I'm not doing anything about it. And 20 years from now, I'm building businesses I'd like to be able to pass on, and that experience told me that there aren't politicians out there very often that are looking out for us, and Greg is definitely not looking out for us. So it became my opinion that I had no other choice but to run. You can't stand on good Christian values and not do something when you see something.
Amen,
and so
brother.
that's where I am
Amen.
today.
Can I ask?
You go right ahead.
Can I call you Kelly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Kelly, I'm wondering, you said people over politics, and,
Yes,
and what you said, that's an example of what you mean, people over politics, because we know we run into politics so much. And I was a political science, got my degree at ASU in political science, and we know how convoluted it can be.
Absolutely.
Could you speak a little bit more to the idea of people over politics? What are you going to do for the people? Because politics always seems to get in the way.
Yeah, so politics does always get in the way. And I think what happens is, and you can see this, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds on this, but our economic system is designed with barriers to entry everywhere. So the simplest, easiest way for me to explain is, why would a large corporation that runs on labor agree to the same stipulations that maybe a labor union would have on a minimum wage? And it seems contrary to be arguing against minimum wage, because minimum wage is for the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is, when you put in something like that and you see a big corporation agreeing to something like that, they're agreeing to help create a barrier to entry for a small business owner. So now a Walmart has this agreed upon, societally accepted minimum wage, but that minimum wage then creates an issue for you as a small business owner wanting to start. It's almost a barrier too high to get over in the capitalization at the beginning of your business. Now, let's not die on that hill. That's woven throughout. So when you talk about prescription drugs getting into politics, there's a prime example today in politics with the Secretary of State's office and how she's handling the equal system and the transition from redistricting old districts to new. So my experience, my barrier to entry, and the way that it seems that the Secretary of State is protecting Greg Stanton, is to make it where when the lines become final, you're supposed to declare a new district. And as I said before, now when I did that, it appears online that I'm running against Paul Gosar. So the people in the district where I'm running can't sign my petition online because they can't get to it.
Ooh.
Because it looks like I'm running against Paul Gosar because I declared in the proper district.
Okay.
I had to do that to get the correct updated petitions printed off so I could be collecting petitions in the right district for my name. And she's using an old version of, or an interpretation of, Arizona state law, saying that the state legislature now has to redefine how many signatures you need to get on the ballot. And so she's taken those numbers from the old districts and attached them to the new district. So the new CD4 is actually an even district. So 50-50 registration, 33% Republican, 33% Democrat, 34% Independent. Mm-hmm. I have to collect 800 more signatures than Greg Stanton because she's using the numbers from Paul Gosar's district.
Wow.
That says it's like a plus 30 Republican district.
Wow.
And so those numbers are based on registration. So to me, that foundation of access to the ballot is one of the election integrity issues that we're facing today, and it goes from start to finish.
Why hasn't that been a story anywhere? Have I just missed it?
You're familiar
Have you
with the
seen
media,
it?
right?
Well, yeah, we watch.
Very
I do.
interesting.
I covered the media all the time, all the different things. I'm
Right.
not hearing this sort of. It sounds very disturbing.
800 more signatures.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a lot. And then not being able to do it online.
I can't do it online, so I have to go out and knock doors, which I'm happy to do because you want to get in front of people. You can't be people over politics. You can't be a politician without having a connection. You can't build a grassroots organization without going and talking to people. But I'll give you another story.
Mm-hmm.
My wife last night was out collecting signatures for me, and she was down in Ahwatukee, catching people heading into the Fry's grocery store and trying to introduce me and ask for them just to sign to get me on the ballot. And a young gentleman was on his way in, and she was explaining who she was, and she said, "My husband's a Republican," and he spit on her.
That's amazing. And this is in Ahwatukee, which I know people are watching from all over the country. It's a little bit more upscale, nice. That'd be one of the last places that I'd expect someone to do something as nasty as that. Is your wife okay?
She is. She was pretty shaken up, but she's okay.
But, and remind us, and I need to remind us because of who I am, that I used to feel like that too. And I went to Scottsdale, got jacked up in a Motel 6, robbed, had to fight for my life, and they're trying to strangle me to death in a Motel 6. And I'm thinking, A, I'm past 68th Street. I can't understand what's going on. This is Scottsdale. And B, I could hear the women and the children splashing in the pool. So these kinds of things are things that can happen anywhere. And sure, it's Ahwatukee and it's Scottsdale, but I tell people, there's no fence between this and that. And people bleed into each other, and I'm personally sorry to hear about that, because I tell people, you're a person, you get attacked for one thing or another. We'll talk about that Black History Month. But once again, it shouldn't have to happen, and it just doesn't reflect very well on us. And I would like to say that not only God is watching, but of course the world is watching everything that we do too.
Right. Kelly, did anyone else see that and
No, she's not super public about this kind of stuff, so she's mulling over the idea of whether she should try to press charges or not. I would encourage her to, because you can't stand by and accept that kind of behavior from anybody. I wouldn't accept it from a conservative or a Republican. I won't accept it from anyone else. It's not about politics. It's about the way you treat people. It's no different than the campaign slogan, people over politics.
And I would say also rule of law as a former police officer for me. It's just period. I don't care who you are. We're seeing lawbreakers and people robbing stores, and we're just out of control.
Well, so
and that's an indication of us being out of control.
Right, in public, in front of everybody.
Well, we see that all day long. I mean, people, you look at the caught on video clocking these old Asians and people running over people. Somebody hit a child. We're number one for pedestrian deaths in Arizona. We're number one for excessive speed. We're number one for running red lights. We need to stop people. We need to stop.
No, and that's it's not enforced. Okay, we got 1 minute. So, wow, what a story. Okay, give your website out and your information. We're still going to have Kelly for another segment, so don't go away. But we just want to make sure we get your website out and any contact information you might want to give.
Sure, yeah. So my website is kellycooperarizona.com, KELLYCOOPER, Arizona, just spell it, .com. Everybody listening, go on there, give $10. That'll help really push the campaign forward. And you can do that from anywhere, whether you live in the district or not. You don't have to live here to believe in the message that we're bringing out today. I do weekly meet and greets every Wednesday. I think we'll probably get into that in the next segment a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about all that in the next segment. Yes, if you live out of state, maybe you want to help them out, do that. All right, I'm Alice Latta here with...
Reverend Clyde Bowen saying, we the people, but Kelly's the man.
And we'll be right back with more of the Chips and Salsa Show here on Central City Radio, Talk Central Phoenix. Don't go away.
Amen.